Women's Sports Mix.
Cambridge Radio.
Welcome to the Women's Sports Mix. I'm Amy Gray.
And I'm Alex Elbro.
On this show, we cover all types of sport and activities for women and girls. We follow our local teams. And we're talking running and athletics tonight, Alex.
Yes, tonight's guest is Sarah Abramson, who is the endurance coordinator at Cambridge and Coleridge Athletic Club.
Long distance running. It's not something we do a lot of, but we're curious to learn more, aren't we?
Yes, always up for a challenge and listening in case it's something we want to take up.
And you do your 5Ks. So
yes, yeah, and I've done a 10K. I've done a few 10Ks.
You're on your way to endurance running here. I'm not, but Alex is.
Well, you might be, you know, it's all in your brain.
Maybe
really.
It's in my future.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll also be looking at results across football, rugby and ice hockey, all coming up. Yes, welcome everyone to the show, and we're going to just give a little behind the scenes here at the Sports Mix. We are in a different studio.
We are.
Aren't we,
We're
Alex?
in Studio B instead of Studio A
Which
today.
is the little studio.
It's the mini studio.
Yeah, it's where I do my 90s show. That's fine,
true.
'cause it's just me in here. Sometimes I have a guest, maybe not. But we actually were in here once before when we spoke to Darren Marjoram.
Yes, I remember
Do you
now.
remember?
Wow, that's a long time ago. Yeah, I first started in this studio, so it feels very homely to me. It is more cosy in here, although it isn't when it's really cold. Is it, Amy?
It's either I'm one of the too cold, too hot people in Studio B, so I'm normally complaining about it. But when we were in here last time, we had a problem with the mic.
Yes.
And it's already a cosy studio. We had to share a mic.
I've forgotten that, you see. Yes, all the lovely things that we have to do behind the scenes, like you say, take away the smoke and mirrors, because we look so professional otherwise.
You wouldn't
No,
know, would you? But there we were, huddled, sharing a mic, speaking to Darren. Okay, and let's get going. And we're going to be looking at rugby first. And something that we've mentioned before on the show, you spoke to Fabs about. It's coming up for International Women's Day at Shelford Rugby Club. So this is March the 8th. We are going. What are the details, Alex?
Yeah, it's really cool that International Women's Day actually falls on the day, because obviously there'll be events either side of it, but we are going on the day, and it's a day for women and girls rugby and a celebration for International Women's Day on Sunday the 8th of March. Now it's starting off quite early at 9 o'clock. Under 16s Eastern Counties tournament kicks off. I'm guessing because it's a tournament they've got to start early and go all through, and then at 11:30 they've got an under 18s match against Bedford kicking off, and then between 12 and 2, this is the bit we're here for.
This is where we come in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is the bit what we were straight on it as soon as they said it was a pre-match afternoon tea, which is sort of weird because you're having it at lunchtime, but I got very confused at first, but you do need tickets in advance for that bit.
Yes.
And we'll tell you about that.
Yeah, that section is in advance.
And then at 2:30, we've got the women's first 15 against Cannock Lionesses in the Championship 2 Midlands League, which is the main event. And Shelford have been having a cracker of a season, so that's going to be a really good game, because I believe Cannock are similar right at the top of the table with them. So, you know, anything could happen. And then also post-match, there's going to be player awards, raffles, shirts auction, and also the bar is open all day, just saying. So come Thursday, and food vans also throughout the day if you're not going to get for the afternoon tea. And the auction and the raffle will be for the Bubesi Pride Foundation, which transforms lives through sport and education in Malawi. So it's a really win-win situation. And they're going to have some speakers during the tea. They're sort of keeping that bit under wraps for now. I'm not sure who, but they said some inspiring speakers.
So we'll wait and see what we get. So if you Google Shelford Rugby International Women's Day, you will find that it's Ticket Tailor is the link, but Googling it is quite an easy way to find it. And you can buy tickets there, purchase in advance. They're £25. That's if you want to go to the afternoon tea side of things. Shelford Rugby Club, wheelchair accessible and dog friendly. Yeah. I'll mention as well. And they have actually put a note on this. Parking will be tight on the day because obviously they've got a lot going on. So hoping to get good crowds there. So car
if you think
share
of all those different things, especially like the under 16s and under 18s, generally they're not always driving. So there'll be lots of parents coming too, which is brilliant, And they've purposely done it like this because they said, because it's a Women's Day and women want to play rugby, but they will need to bring their families, and there'll be events. I think there's some crafting activities for any children that might come that might need a little bit of entertaining if they don't want to watch the rugby all the way through.
Oh, well, sounds good.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun, isn't it?
Yeah, looking forward to that one. And the rugby result, Alex, what's been happening?
This is it now. Strap in here, because Shelford have been having a really impressive season. They won their game away against Sudbury ladies 44-20, and that was on Sunday the 22nd of February. And I received the match report from Benny, who's one of the Shelford women's coaches, he's a brilliant coach, and he's a very funny and really friendly guy. And
we liked him, didn't we, when we did our try it with them, when me and Alex went along to the training. Yeah, he's fun, wasn't he? Yeah,
he was fun, and he was always there with a good quip every now and again as well. He also, by the way, stole my phone. We didn't steal it. I asked him to take some photos of us with the team, and when I got home I found about 5 selfies of him on the phone, which he obviously did on purpose, because he thought, wait till she sees what's going on this phone. So that's just say, don't lend anyone your phone and then forget for a while. Anyway, I'm going to give you the match report that he wrote, and so this isn't my words because I wasn't there. But anyway, this is your match report. The collective noun for peacocks is quite fittingly an ostentation. It's a word positively struts its stuff, much like the birds themselves, evoking all things deliberately loud, showy, and dare I say, a little extra. The definition demands an audience, and on Sunday, the Shelford women certainly made sure all eyes were on them. Now, just for those that haven't been listening all the time, Shelford their symbol is peacock for both the women and the men. So that's on their emblem. So
and we did the little symbol with our hands when we were there with them. I can't remember what it is. No, it's something you can do with your hands.
It's probably very easy to make a little peacock, but we were struggling with that one, weren't we? So in an away fixture that was as dazzling as a peacock's tail in full fan, Shelford women delivered a performance that ticked every box for flair, resilience, and just a little right dash of drama, ending with a well-earned 5 points for their efforts, because obviously the higher you get, if you get a try difference, effectively points difference, you get extra points, which they're saying now they're sitting right at the top of the table. It's absolutely crucial. The Sudbury Sapphires were every bit sparkling adversaries for Shelford, with a reputation for upsetting the peacock's plumage. The home side, glittering with youthful exuberance and their trademark sapphire resolve, were never going to be a walk in the park. They ran hard, tackled harder, and like any gem worth its sparkle, refused to crack under the pressure, giving everything for the full 80 minutes. So it said Lizzie Harrison raced down the wing at the start for some glittering phase play, bagging her first try and leaving the Sapphires momentarily dazzled. Sudbury, however, wasted no time polishing their reply. The two sides traded heavy blows. There was strong running, hearty tackling, and many turnovers. Eventually, Shelford found their rhythm, and Lizzie added a second out wide before Jess Norris, switching in from the outside centre, turned on the afterburners to touch down herself, even finding time to convert her own score with aplomb. But just as the Peacocks were starting to strut, trouble happened in the form of the referee's yellow card. Jodie Yandel was the first to take a breather in the sin bin, a trend that would see Shelford play almost 50 minutes with just 14 on the pitch. Ooh. Sudbury, ever the opportunities, pounced on that with the try, but Shelford's response was as plucky as ever. The visitors regrouped, shrugging off the adversity, and rattled off 2 quick tries. Eva McHenry powered over following a series of bruising forward runs, and Anna Goggs as we know her.
Goggs, yes.
Yeah, see, executed a wraparound worthy of a standing ovation to score in the corner for her first for the afternoon. And this is only half time. Sudbury Sapphires were 10, Shelford 29. Now, with this 19-point cushion, Shelford glided into the second half, picking up precisely where they left off. Goggs, clearly not content with her just one sparkly moment, powered through for her second try. Unfortunately, the referee had other ideas about the visitors' tackling technique, and 2 more yellows. 2 meant Shelford were down to 13. The Sapphires seized their chance, crossing twice while Shelford's numbers were depleted. But just when you thought they might fold, experience and stubbornness shone through. Mia Wood, with reactions quicker than a startled cat, pounced on a loose ball and scrum, and on the Sudbury 5-metre line, darting over the corner to settle the nerves. To round things off, Jess Norris produced a great solo effort, weaving through defenders to seal a resounding victory for Shelford. Full-time, Sudbury Sapphires 20, Shelford Women 44. And the coach, Darren Messenger, reflected, Sudbury are a formidable side with the heart and sparkle worthy of their Sapphires moniker. Our team showed tremendous character, battling through adversity to not only weather the storm, but shine all the brighter for it. And the back of the match was Anna Gogs, not surprisingly. Forward of the match, Fabia Howell.
Hey, go Fabs.
Supporters player of the match, Mia Wood. And they have a home game on Sunday the 1st of March against the Guildford Gazelles, which is the next round in the Cup.
Well, thank you very much, Alex and Benny. And another event that's at the weekend, the Cambridge Half Marathon.
Yeah, on Sunday the 8th of March. The same day as International Women's Day. Always a good thing. Cambridge Half Marathon is amazing. Runners often think of it as a PB because it goes through all the colleges. It's quite flat, so it's a good one for everybody. Lots of support when you're in the town, and I'll be there for the cheer squad for Alzheimer's Research UK. I know lots of people doing it. Some people doing it for the first time, but I'll be there in full spirit cheering everybody on. But I have to go straight from there in a taxi like James Bond. Does he go in taxis? Probably not, but one of those kind of really people have to. Like, I almost need a bike.
Just like
there.
A celebrity.
Yeah.
Like,
you know, like
go from one party to the other party.
Have to bike you to the thing. I have got to work out which roads will actually still be open to go from the cheering at the half marathon straight down to our afternoon tea. But I like that because I'll be hungry by then. Yeah,
you'll have earned it because the cheering's important. Have you done the cheering before?
Yes, several years. I didn't do it last year because we had to be away, I think. But it's the most rewarding way that you can help anyone running around. Even if you're not running, you think, oh, I feel a bit of a cheat. But actually, you're cheering for the runners really helps them. And I know when I've done even the 10K, I say even, it still feels the same. Anyone cheers. And if anyone says your name, because you have their names on their shirts, I always do that. Shout their names out and then I'm very surprised like who's calling my name. But it really helps, especially in those last few many miles.
Yeah, on the last bit, everyone's cheering, aren't they? Good luck to everyone taking part at the Cambridge Half Marathon, and huge appreciation to everyone like Alex who does the cheering. It's such a big part of it as well. And we thought, well, Cambridge Half Marathon on the Women's Sports Mix, let's talk to someone about running. So we are going to be speaking to Sarah Abramson, who is the endurance coordinator at Cambridge and Coleridge Athletic Club. That's next.
Cambridge Radio Women's Sports Mix.
This is the Women's Sports Mix with Amy and Alex, and this week we caught up with Sarah Abramson, who is the endurance coordinator at Cambridge and Coleridge Athletic Club, and we started by asking her about the club.
Cambridge and Coleridge is actually one of the biggest running clubs in the country, so we're an athletics club that covers track and field and endurance running. We have a very large section that is focused on adult endurance running. There's about 450 members of that, but we're over 900 overall. So that includes juniors, and it includes anyone who's training for track events and field events. So that's the throwing and jumping. But the group that I'm most involved with are mostly doing endurance. So that's road running, trail running. Yeah, we dip into kind of cross country and that kind of thing. But if you're training for a 10K, a 5K, Cambridge Half Marathon, that's the kind of training that we do.
And what is it about the endurance longer distances why is that your thing?
Oh, I guess that's my background. That's me as a runner. Those are the events that I've enjoyed doing over time. So I joined Cambridge and Coleridge as a runner. Really loved it, got more involved, and then I did my coaching qualifications. So that's the side that I'm involved with.
So you coach now,
yeah.
And who do you coach specifically?
I coach on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. I coach adults, so that's anyone over 18. My groups are anybody training for, I guess most of them are training for 10K and over. My Thursday group is quite marathon focused. That's been my focus as an athlete. So I kind of bring together a bit of coaching focus and a place for people who are training for marathons to come together.
So at the moment then you've got a lot of people training for the Cambridge Half Marathon and the London Marathon and others, I guess.
Lots of those, yes.
There's quite a few that are on the same day as, I think Brighton's on the same day, isn't it? And
it gets pretty busy in spring. There are quite a few marathons, sort of April, May time in the UK, and then again in the autumn. There are quite. Are
you running any of those?
I am. This year I'm doing Leeds Marathon, and I've done quite a lot of marathons over the years, so definitely something I enjoy.
How many do you think you've done?
That's a really good question.
So many you don't know.
I know.
See, I can tell you right now I've done none.
Yeah, let me have a think for a second. I can tell you how many 10Ks I've run. That's exciting.
That's good.
Road marathons, I've probably done about 12-ish, but I've done trail events and other events as well. So, and lots of half marathons. I definitely have lost count of those.
How did you first get into running then? So you said you joined the club as a runner.
Yeah.
And one thing I know we explored a while ago when we spoke to Danny Guy about running is you don't get trained really for running generally. You might do more now, but when we were at school, it was like you get trained for sports and you get coached for sports, and then running you were just told to just clear off, and then we'll see you back at school at whatever time.
It's really interesting. It's a bit of a quirk of the UK actually, because if you go to the US, they really train properly for track and field, and cross country is not something that they hate, because most people who remember cross country from school, it was like a miserable existence that maybe you did like twice a year, and the teacher's standing there in a big coat shouting at you, and kids either use it as an excuse for skiving off, or they just have this miserable memory of it. In the US, it's a activity that the kids look forward to, they engage with, they do races that they really enjoy, and it's quite a big thing. So it's a bit of a problem here. But to answer the question, I think a lot of people here, if they haven't gone through the sort of traditional schools route of doing track and field and cross country, which is the traditional route into the sport, a lot of people now are doing couch to 5K, then maybe they're thinking, oh, I'll try 10K, then maybe they're thinking, up the distance half marathon, they're sort of being egged on by other people, and that's when you feel like it's actually easier to train with other people. So that's tends to be
and training is the key. There's no way you can do any of those even and enjoy them. That's the thing. Yeah, because you've got a big smile on your face when you said all that. There wasn't like you weren't gritting your teeth and saying, I've got to do this thing. You really look forward to them. Whereas the thought of I have done 10Ks and I did begin to enjoy them, but I felt like I was kind of making up my own training as I went. I did follow these plans that written down, but I feel like if you were going with other people and being told what to do and how to make it, that you didn't have to do it all at once, and it's a gradual process. It makes it a lot better, I'm sure.
It definitely makes it more fun. People really appreciate coming together. I think people enjoy it more. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are times when it's raining and dark and I'm like, I really feel like going out for training on my own right now, and those times it's certainly easier to come together with other people. And if you've got a coach session, it makes it fun, and you've got a focus, and you don't really have to think about it as much. You don't have to have that kind of maybe I'll go in half an hour kind of feeling. It's like, right, I'm going to training, and it just becomes
so you're accountable, aren't you? So if you're going to turn up for something, you're much more likely to turn up for it. If you've already said you're in this group, you don't want to let anyone else down, and it sets at a certain time. Whereas if you go, I'm going for a run, and like you say, the half an hour goes into an hour, and then now I haven't got time to do it because I've got to do something else.
And do you have people join that have never either been part of a running group or an athletics club before, that they're new to it and maybe don't know what to expect?
We have lots of people who've never been in a club before, yes. And we try to make it as easy as possible for those people to feel included. And for me, a huge part of how I think about setting up group sessions is that I want it to feel like a really positive environment to come to. I'm a huge believer in community and creating that kind of group dynamic where it's fun, it's a good place to be, and whatever people are there for, whether it's that they want to beat their PBs, or they want to train for something they've never done before, or whether they just want to get out and meet people and have a bit more of a sort of structured approach. That's important. I think the starting point for that is that you're in a positive place. But I think if you've never run really before, you may want to start with something that's a bit more of a kind of couch to 5K group, and there's quite a lot of those around. There are groups locally called Run Together, which was originally set up by England Athletics, and those are fantastic for people that just maybe are a bit nervous at the moment, or maybe just need that bit of encouragement and haven't done much running yet. So maybe start with that, and then Cambridge and Coleridge is a great place to be if you want to kind of keep growing on that running journey.
So people that have, done a bit and they're thinking, I want to do a bit more, that's where they maybe would look at your club. And what age groups do you cover?
Everything. So we have a big juniors section that goes sort of up through teenage years, and then as soon as it's adults, then my groups, and like I say, we've got about 450 adult endurance runners. So that's split across. Not everybody trains together, but that's split.
No, it's one massive
session. Yeah, that would be
runners down the road.
That stopped the traffic.
Yeah, and then right up through to people who were in their 70s. We used to have our club president used to be someone called Mary Holmes, who was still running well into her 80s and like achieving really amazing times for somebody in that age category. So yeah, we go right the way up.
Will that be you, Sarah, in the future?
Yes, let's say so.
Sarah, you were saying that you train and coach one-to-one as well.
Yes.
And you enjoy coaching women.
Yeah.
What differences is that, and why do you find that you enjoy that so much?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy coaching men and women, definitely. I love the chance to explore what brings somebody to a sport, what they're motivated by, and help them individually. I really think that it's important to think about an individual. So if I'm working, so obviously like I coach groups, and so I'm sort of setting something up that works for everybody, however many people, whether that's 30 people might come together on a Tuesday or Thursday. But for those individuals, it's typically if they're training towards a particular target, like a marathon, and helping them to understand what's motivating them, what their goals are, for me to understand what they've done before, what point they're at, and what they individually need to help them build from where they're at to where they'd like to get to. And it is different in every single case, even for two people who, are running really similar times or are the same age or the same background. It's different because every single person is different. And I certainly bring that approach to talking with women one-to-one. There are certain things that I'd probably open up with women that I'm one-to-one coaching that I think are really important, and hopefully we'll come on to this, but I think it's why it's helpful to have more women coming into coaching as well. It's those conversations around things like hormones, menstrual cycle, nutrition, general health from a women's perspective, and also some of the barriers that can exist for women even more than men, I think, on the whole. Some of those, like, caring responsibilities.
Finding time and then putting yourself not first because you said, well, I've got to sort out everyone else before I can do that. And then you suddenly find time has gone by and you're not getting any of the exercise that would be good for everybody, of course.
For sure, yes. And I think that can change through ages. So, for women, I notice, and Cambridge and Coleridge, I should say, it's a pretty competitive club. Not everybody there is competitive, but it kind of has that nature to it, and a lot of our runners are really good competitive runners. And I think what can often happen is there's quite a drop off for women when they start a family, or certainly at my age, which is sort of getting towards having to think about perimenopause, menopause, all of those issues, and having caring responsibilities, sometimes simultaneously, your own kids and your parents, or beyond that within your family. Those things land heavily on women, I think.
And that's when we had Maggie and Leslie and Alex was saying, it's all of that seems to happen at the same time, which is useful.
Yeah.
And would you say, so I think we were talking before we started talking on air, that it's this ingrained wisdom. I put wisdom in air quotes there, that people say, oh, you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that. And then you get bombarded with this. And then you might have family members saying, oh, do you think you should be doing this, that and the other? And then sometimes, unless you really are going for it, you think, oh, well, I will leave it because they're saying. And that's not always the right thing to do anyway, is it?
And to be fair, men have to deal with some of this stuff as well. There's this received wisdom about running being bad for your knees, and actually the scientific evidence is that, be it not running or being just not moving enough, not getting enough exercise, is much worse for your knees long term. So it's about training in the right way and being sensible and building up your strength, that kind of thing. So all of us have to deal with that kind of thing. But yes, received wisdom that is based on men is a problem. I'm sure not just in our sport, but
and all sports science has been based on men originally.
It's really male dominated. A lot of the the conventional ideas about how to train for a marathon, for example, are almost entirely based on men and young men, actually. And, there's some really insightful, interesting sports science, some great papers, some good stuff that I do integrate into my coaching. But the presence of women in a lot of those studies is just not good enough. And there's topics that are much more relevant for women that are almost either overlooked or just the research is really poor. So, understanding the impact of menstrual cycles, understanding menopause is just so under-researched, how to train well through that. Things like pregnancy, and again, this isn't just running, it's relevant for all sports and life, but ideas around pregnancy. When I was pregnant with my first child, well, that's a little over 20 years ago now, unbelievably, the sort of prevailing thought was you shouldn't really exercise very much, and it was really about caution, be as safe as you can, avoid risk. And of course, avoiding risk is still true, but I think we've got much better at understanding that pregnancy is a healthy state of the body.
Yeah.
And so what you can do and what you can think about is different. So things like that are changing, but they're slow to change, and the basis of the evidence is still really slow to build up.
And with the lack of research on all these things, it's not going to get better unless they do actually do some looking into it. And again, that's an individual thing, isn't it? So
it completely is, yeah.
What works for somebody might not work, but it doesn't mean that, well, most people, I would say, some sort of exercise would still be very good. Definitely,
yeah. And what I notice individually coaching people is that, so for marathons, the received wisdom is that volume, i.e. how much running you do in a week, is the most important factor. And that is true if you look at physiology. It's true that if you want to get faster at marathons, if you run more, you get better aerobic fitness. So that's just, you're getting fitter in a way that will help you to run better. So with younger, fitter men who are already into running, you get especially elite athletes whose volume is crazy. It's quite hard to understand how they fit that much running into a week. It's unbelievable. But what I notice one-to-one coaching women is that there's almost a kind of tipping point where there are downsides of focusing on volume, where actually the cons of doing it start to outweigh the pros. So there's disadvantages that start to become more important than the advantages of purely aerobic fitness. So things like iron deficiency, energy balance, health generally, those things, and fatigue that affects your sleep, those types of things. I have a chance when I'm one-to-one coaching to really explore how those things are making a difference.
And again, that would be an individual thing, wouldn't it? And how you change that and what you do instead of that. So strength training is becoming, now people are realising that's more and more important for everybody, but for women, especially going into perimenopause and menopause, and to sort of work against sort of osteoporosis and all these other things. Definitely. And weight-bearing exercises and all these things that, back in the day, they wouldn't have said, oh no, that's it, you don't do anymore now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you do get that loss of muscle mass when you get to that kind of point of life. It's also true for older men as well. It tends to affect men a slightly older age, but for sure, that loss of muscle mass, it's important to start thinking a little bit differently about training.
And appreciating that, really, because that's the thing. I think people can be down on themselves, women and men, but women will say, oh, I used to be able to do this and now I can't, so therefore I'm a bad person, I can't train as hard.
And then you hear all the things Sarah has said that you actually need to take into consideration. Yeah.
And then you're well, no wonder.
You might find that it works more if you understand what those things are that are different now.
There's a brilliant, I'd really recommend, there's a brilliant physiologist called Stacey Sims, who
she's been mentioned before.
I would really recommend her books. She's got 2 books.
Becky Balzano, who's a nutrition and health coach, she recommended her as well, or talked about some of the things that she did.
Fantastic. So she's got 2 books that I'd recommend. One is called Roar, so that's as in lion roaring, ROAR, which talks about women's health in general, has a nice chapter on pregnancy actually. But then she's got a newer book called The Next Level, which is aimed more at perimenopause and menopause and how to train really well through that. It's brilliant, and there's so little out there that is very well researched and very easily accessible information. So yeah, it's good, and it's very good on things like menstrual cycle. And again, like having the chance to one-to-one coach women gives me a perspective of like how different the menstrual cycle, the impact of it is for everybody. It's fascinating. So, you know, there could be a pattern where the first half of the menstrual cycle, typically, you might feel a little more energetic when you're estrogen dominant, and then after ovulation, when there's the progesterone dominant luteal phase, that you could feel less energetic. And then some people feel fine before their period, some people don't, some people feel fine on their period, some people don't. And but what is so interesting to me is that everyone's really different, and some people really notice the effect of it, and others it's fine. And obviously there's some people, depending on what contraception you're using, whose cycle is different anyway. But what I always say is try and pay attention to it. Can you notice any patterns? And be kind to yourself, please, because in that second half, if there's a reason why training suddenly starts feeling hard, or you can't lift as much, or it just all feels a bit difficult, is it actually something to do with hormones and balance? Is there something else going on, rather than, like you say, I'm just bad? I'm it's everything's
and
gone wrong.
That's usually the go-to, isn't it? And I know we've spoken to Nicole Hawksworth, who trains footballers. She's noticed that with her young football team, hasn't she? That, you know, as teenage girls, that they're operating at different levels.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this can be addressed.
Yeah.
As we look at football as a whole.
Yeah.
And team sports and things, or any sports, because I know if you're going to talk about that against men, they're going to say, well, you know, that's why we don't want women, because they're too complicated.
Yeah.
But I feel like we just need to look at sort of training smarter, or
definitely,
or
just
whatever.
Even just awareness of what's going on and what the differences are. Like in football, the prevalence of ACL, cruciate ligament injuries, is clearly a pattern, and not just football, other sports as well. And what's going on there? What's it about? Like, how do we start to understand that better? And to be fair, sports science is starting to look at it, but it's really new, and it's really just...
This is, and what you were saying earlier, it's interesting, you were saying this needs more research, but actually at the moment, I think we're at the point people are talking about it, but is there much going on? Hopefully we're now in the talking about it move on to actually getting research that helps people like you.
At high level sports, you know, you think that it's talked about a lot, like you say, and then you've got in the WSL all these women having these ACL in one season injuries, and you think, well, surely they, as I've said this before, they've got all these top level scientists that are working with them. Why they're not thinking we need to go back and do the research on this, because it's happening too regularly to be a coincidence.
I feel like there's a whole kind of systems problem. So we need more women everywhere, not just as athletes. We need more women as coaches. We need more women in sports science, and just bringing that different thinking and the curiosity about what these questions are, and not just kind of thinking about everything in a male-dominated way. That we're not even... I don't think that usually there's a deliberate decision there.
No.
About
no,
that.
It's just a no decision.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's just a lack of thinking why you would need to do any of these things. Now, you said you went and you were motivated to go and get your coaching qualifications. If someone hearing this who enjoys running at whatever level, maybe that they haven't been running long, or they've been running long but don't go so far big distances, although I maintain you don't have to go to the next level each time. You can just carry on being good at the level that you enjoy, and they want to get into coaching. How do they go about it?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the starting point is finding a group or a club that you feel comfortable in and that suits you really well. And that might change over time, but try things out, go and join a group. And then England Athletics run coaching courses. So the first level of those is Run Leader, which is actually really not that difficult of a course to do. You can do it mostly online. I think there's a sort of group session and then some modules to work through. It takes probably a day maximum. I think the main course is 2 hours, and then you just have to do some safeguarding and that kind of thing. So it's pretty quick, and you can just get involved. So at my club, we have a rota for the groups that I lead, and you can lead a session once in a while, and there's other coaches that will mentor and help you out. So,
and your club, are you based at the university track, is it?
We have most of our sessions at the university track, which is on Wilberforce Road. We also have some groups that run off-road. So we've got a couple of sessions at West Site. And we have a satellite at Carver Barracks near Saffron Walden. So Mo Park, who's one of our main coaches and our vice chair, leads groups there. So that's fantastic. He's got some junior groups there too. That's worth looking up, and we can help to signpost. I pick up emails. So if anyone has any questions, my email address is endurance@cambridgeandcoleridge.org.uk.
That's very easy, isn't it? And you said that there's some of the junior groups. There is a girls-only group if some girls wanted to start, because again, talking about research, there's a drop-off in girls, isn't there, in going into their teens, when they suddenly become more conscious of themselves and they don't necessarily want to get involved with or have anyone see them in particular ways. So you run some girls groups.
Yeah, so there are girls groups, so they're integrated at the younger age in our junior academy, but there are teenage groups that are for girls. And those are great. And I think it comes back to that idea of the sense of belonging and community. So if you have a group that you get to know and it's got a good atmosphere at it, I think you're much more likely to stay with the sport. And I know our group of junior teenage girls is really like that. They're very supportive. They go and do races together. They've got a great atmosphere to it. So I think that helps hugely.
We were talking again about running and running safe and feeling safe when you're running. Now, I know you run certain sessions, but if you are building up for one of the races and you need to do some extra, you can't just rely on those 2 sessions for your running for the week. What tips would you give to people for making themselves feel safe and make themselves be safe?
Yeah, so I think there's lots of different ways into it. I mean, running with other people, whether that is joining a group or whether it's running with a friend, I think that's a huge thing and can be really reassuring. Think about your route. So if you feel nervous, maybe, think about a route where you feel safer, that's better lit, that has maybe more people, a bit more public, that kind of thing. If you're running in the dark, always have a light for sure. I think carrying your phone safely, so it's not too obvious, not in your hand, but you can get running belts that are a good way to carry that so that you, again, feel reassured.
And I guess high vis and things like that, which is running safely for if you're running, and it's very easy not to get spotted, isn't it?
Definitely.
Crossing roads and things. Yeah,
because I guess safety, it's not just, are you going to be attacked? It's are you seen? Are you... Yeah, for sure. So I think those all make a difference. And I think when you do something a couple of times, you realise it's maybe not as scary as you got in your head. So I think trying it and giving yourself the reassurance, go with somebody else. If you feel safer going with a man, do that. But otherwise, 2 or 3 friends together, it's all good, and it helps you to overcome that fear.
And you get to have a good chat then.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. That was really interesting to find out more about how it works at an athletics club and everything that goes into being a coach and coaching women. That was great. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you so much. And thank you for doing this, because I'm really passionate about women's sport, and it's fantastic to have a focus on it. Thank you.
This is Cambridge Radio, Women's Sports Mix.
Amy and Alex here, the Women's Sports Mix on Cambridge Radio. Cambridge United women now. Let's look at some football. Alex, it was a loss on the road. They were 2-0 down against Queen's Park Rangers. Got a goal back, courtesy of Lauren Rouse, but ultimately that was a 3-1 defeat. And Sean Greygoose had said on socials that, yes, it's a 3-1 defeat, but they were chasing the equaliser.
Yeah.
So as happens, you kind of got to go for it at that point. Had a couple of players come off with an injury. Prior to this, they had another loss against Milton Keynes Dons, and Sean said he's made some changes from that and felt there was an improvement, even though the scoreline, obviously slight improvement in the scoreline, but he felt that the performance was a better performance, even though it was 3-1, because they were going for it. So
you've either got to go for it, haven't you, or you just play defensive and then they could still slip one in. You just haven't had a chance on goal, have you?
And Cambridge United women have a home game coming up with just a bit of advance warning for this one. It's on March 29th. It's no ordinary home game. And Alex, you've already previewed this on your daytime show last week.
Just because we were looking at the news and I thought, this is a really good one to highlight for people.
A Guinness World Record attempt.
Yes,
Tell us more.
Yes, so Cambridge United women are inviting supporters to be part of history on Sunday the 29th of March as the club teams up with the front of shirt sponsor Majority to attempt a world record during the club's penultimate home game of the 25-26 season. That's gone fast, I feel. Majority will be aiming to surpass a current world record of 1,000 Bluetooth speakers playing simultaneously, a mark held since 2017. I'm surprised nobody's tried to do this more.
It's random. I can see why they're targeting that, because Majority of the sponsors. So it makes sense. But I mean, who knew?
Yeah, and so
speakers
the youths
all playing at once.
will welcome the London Bees to the Cladara Abbey Stadium 2 o'clock kickoff. Now, the fans will be attending the match will be invited to take part in this Majority Move WR speaker in unison at half time. I was going to wonder when they were going to play it because I thought that could be off-putting, isn't it?
Maybe if
imagine they keep putting them on. You're like, no, not now.
If the Bees had like a penalty right now.
Exactly. Each participating supporter, wait for it, will receive a free speaker, which is about retailing at about £39 to take home, as well as a chance to win a commemorative medal or T-shirt. So I feel that's very cool. The event will be aimed to attract a record crowd for Cambridge United women's fixture. The tickets are matched to price just £5 for adults, with children admitted for free. I mean, so good, isn't it?
I mean, we want to get people to games, so why not do a little something to sort of encourage people
and
over?
Because they don't always play at the Abbey, it's hard for people to always remember.
You want to get down to the youth games at the Abbey, because that's not actually their home ground. So it's, if you're in Cambridge and maybe getting to St Neots is tough, this is a great opportunity for you. And I think when we were there for the previous best attendance, weren't we?
Yes,
when it got
which was just over 1,000.
Yeah.
So they need to have 1,000 for this
their world
thing.
record.
So come on, everybody, get along to that match. It's going to be a really good game, I'm sure.
So County Cup, we'll talk about now. Cambridge United women got a bye against Wimbledon ladies, so they are through to the semi-finals, and they will play Cambridge City on March 15th. Histon ladies are also through to the semi-finals, and they will play either Newmarket or March. Histon will be at home for that one, we know. I spoke to Stute's assistant manager Liz Pamplin about their 3-1 win, their quarter-final win against Fulbourn Bluebirds on February 22nd.
It was one of those tough, heavy pitch quarterfinals derby games today. It was not perhaps pretty for the spectator. It was gritty with both sides that really wanted to win it. So we're delighted to have come out with it with 3-1 victory.
3-1, they did get their goal. How did the team feel about it?
It's difficult when you've got an opposition that you've already played twice that season in the league, and we'd already done that. We've already played Fulbourn twice this season. We knew what to expect. They're a side who will fight every minute. They'll scrap and they'll play and they'll be fully committed to the game. And we knew that if we didn't go in with that attitude too, that it could well be a game that would get away from us. So we were really, really pleased that we started really well. We scored early, and then we let ourselves just relax a bit, which wasn't really what was the best situation for us. And so the game got scrappy. It wasn't the best spectacle as a game, but Evie popped up with an excellent hat trick, and that really helped kind of settle us. And then I think eventually the result was not one that was in too much danger. But as I say, it was a game that was hard fought from first whistle to last.
So no league games since we last chatted on the Sports Mix, because the Fulbourn game got postponed, and it would have been Newmarket, but you played Fulbourn in that rescheduled game instead. I guess when it comes to the Cup, it's easier to reschedule the league game for the end of the season than mess with the Cup schedule.
Well, yeah, there's also kind of tradition that says County Cup fixtures roll over anyway. So every season that normally if a cup game's postponed, it's played the following week. It happens in the FA Cup too. So everyone's kind of aware of that, and that that's what's going to happen. So we knew, and the Newmarket games got moved towards the end of the season, which is fine. And it is what it is. You can't do anything about that.
And actually, you've now got those 2 home games to finish, because those ones are the postponed ones.
Yeah, and that's lovely for us, because we were in the prospect of finishing with 4 in a row on the road, and with the way the season's gone, we'd like to be able to come home near the end of the season to give our fans, like an end of season game. So it's really nice now that the last 2 games of the season will be at home now again.
And Hitchin Bells you've got on March the 1st. And I was going to say they haven't beaten anyone currently above them in the league, but they did just have that 5-3 game against Newmarket at the beginning of February. So what's your prep looking like going into this one?
Same as always. Every game as it comes. We played them quite recently, actually. They're one of the sides we played. We'll have played twice after Christmas, and it was a 2-0 victory for us. But it was a good game. They've got good young players, a bit of pace about them, and their manager was the Biggleswade man previously. We know him quite well. He's built quite a nice little side there, so it'll be a tough game for us. It's on an artificial surface in Hitchin, so it's quite nice after a lot of heavy pitches where it's difficult to play a bit of football. We like to play football, so we're quite looking forward actually to playing on a true surface, the first game in a few. So that'll be good. Yep, looking forward to it. We'll be ready for it.
And we are at the end of February now. Histon have the 100% win record. The games are dwindling, and actually you do have some games in hand against your closest rivals, as well as a pretty nice cushion of points as well. Not that I'm sure that you're not resting on your laurels because of that, but your supporters will be looking at the table, looking at the games left and thinking we could very soon be looking at this is the game that secures promotion for us.
Yeah, it's a funny one. When you get to this stage, to be honest, it's absolutely unbelievable that we have a 100% record going into March. That's kind of almost an unheard of thing, and we're delighted. And the girls have been brilliant for it. And then you start getting your calculators out and thinking how early. You try and keep your feet on the ground, but yeah, you get your calculators out. How early can we secure the league and then feel a bit less anxious about the fact that actually we've done the job? And we think, a couple more wins should do it. We've got 6 games left. We think a couple more wins should do it. And yeah, we'd be delighted to do it early and then be a bit less anxious. So yeah, we're aiming for those 2 wins. To secure the title would be brilliant for us and a really nice reward for the girls as well. Obviously, we need the points on the board, but that's what we're aiming for.
Thank you very much to Liz Pamplin, as always. And I know, Alex, as I asked Liz there, you're always saying to me, how many games have they got, do you reckon, Amy? And so we just heard from Liz that 2 wins.
Isn't that
What do you
brilliant?
think, Alex?
Well, I think they can do that because have they lost anything? Have they lost anything?
They're a 100% win.
Yeah.
They're not even draws.
No.
It's just...
Although the game
super invincible.
we watched, they didn't win.
No, yeah, this is in the league.
Yeah,
so
I know. That's what I'm saying.
We're bad luck charm,
we don't
as
like
always.
to go along anymore because in case we feel like we bring the wrong things along. But what brilliant season
Amazing,
they've had,
isn't it? And they've got, as I discussed there with Liz, it's Hitchin Bells is their next game, but then it's Biggleswade is the away game after that. If we're looking at when they potentially could get promotion, so
fantastic!
Very,
what a
very
brilliant
good.
season, yeah.
And up next on the Women's Sports Mix, Cambridge Kodiaks Ice Hockey.
Women's Sports Mix. Cambridge Radio.
Cambridge Kodiaks Ice Hockey now, a win and a draw for the Kodiaks, 3-1 against Milton Keynes Falcons. That was an evening away game on Sunday the 22nd, and before that it was their Valentine's Day game, which was 4-4 against Streatham Storm. I caught up with Kodiaks head coach George Alley and started by asking about that 3-1 win against the Falcons.
It's a first away game for a couple of weeks, but it's good. Milton Keynes have been a tough opposition for us since we entered the league. We had quite a physical game with them in December, and some of our senior players have been missing recently, but the younger players really stepped up. I think Chloe Carter, Aurora Dobbs and Scarlett Shelton all stepped up massively at the end. That was Aurora Dobbs' first senior goal, but she dominated the game as well. So yeah, a lot of people have been stepping up in difficult situations, and whilst we haven't had a draw since I think the playoff semi-final in our first season, to have 2 in a row, it's nice to actually come out with it with a win.
And you were 1-0 down in the first period, and given that you were playing some of your younger, less experienced players, it must be good as a coach to see that they came back for the win.
I think I said this before, after the Streatham game, the team really doesn't like losing, and whilst, yes, we've gotten accustomed to winning, beg your pardon, in the league below, we are still we set quite high standards of ourselves. And even though the games have been tighter and have thrown a lot more adversity at us this season, there's still that attitude that we don't want to lose. Like, more than anything, we refuse to back down, and that goes down to the players.
The game before the Falcons was against the Firebees, and we were talking about the Streatham draw in the last episode of the Sports Mix, and this was another draw, 4-4.
Yeah, don't want to get too comfortable with them, but Firebees are a very talented team, no matter how many people they do send along, and we were losing going into the third period, and to get back an equaliser in front of a bumper crowd who looked like they enjoyed themselves. It's important, because we felt it was a very tightly contested game, and it could have gone either way, but we really locked it down in the third period. Julia Mabry in particular had a standout performance, and I think it was Christina who got the winner that game, just stealing the puck off of them in the neutral zone and then walking in. It was everyone had really big moments in this game at different points. It was another one where, again, we could have let a team who've got the experience, got the talent, walk on us, having taken the lead, because we started the game ahead, or we were ahead in the second period, but losing by the end of it. To then turn it around and at least pull a draw out of it and take points off a team that we are chasing is massive.
And you have another away game coming up against Chelmsford, who you have 2 wins against already. So I guess eyeing up another win here.
Nothing's taken for granted. Teams who Milton Keynes and Streatham hadn't won a game until the new year, and now they're taking points off of everyone. MK went to Chelmsford a couple of weeks ago and started taking points off of them. And likewise, we beat Chelmsford quite heavily at our place, but when we went there straight after New Year, we struggled. And they're, again, I've said it before, they are an experienced team and they know how to play in their rink. And, we've been suffering with injuries and absences. I'm not going to take it for granted, but we don't want to lose any more games. We're chasing a playoff spot. We want to get after teams.
And speaking of playoff spots, I can remember us chatting earlier in the season where you said, we're going for it. We could get the double promotion here. And in the league, you are now tied in second place. How do you feel about your points total so far?
Good. I would like there to be 2 more points from wins, particularly after the last couple of games. But I would rather we had 2 points from draws than no points from those matches. So the fact that we are now on a bang equal record as Firebees, it puts the ball in our court. And because we've now taken points off of Swindon as well, with another game to go against them, there is an opportunity for us to grab it here. I would like us to go for the league if possible, because of the way promotion relegation works between the Elite League and this league. But to get a playoff spot in our first season in Division 1 would be a fantastic achievement.
Cambridge Radio Women's Sports Mix.
You're listening to Amy and Alex on the Women's Sports Mix on Cambridge Radio. And I saw something that I thought might be of interest to a few people, Amy. I saw it on the socials, as it were. It says it's a beginners ladies netball in Cambridge. And somebody there is looking for ladies who will be interested in a beginners netball group, which will be based at Northstowe Secondary College, starting in March. Be perfect for beginners, especially if you haven't played since school. Also fun and social. So if anyone's interested, you need to go to the Cambridge Community News on Facebook. And Rossi Ruth Johnson is interested in starting one up, because of course it's quite a new area, isn't it? So it'd be nice to start up something there. That's beginners ladies netball.
Well, thank you very much, Alex, and thank you to our guests this week. And we have some great guests coming up in March as well.
Always.
Gisela Otten, former Cambridge United player and captain, is now on the board of directors at United and is chair of the women's board.
And Olympian Tess Howard, MBE, professional hockey player and founder of Inclusive Sportswear. We'll be speaking to her too.
Really looking forward to those. And our next episode is on Cambridge Radio with Gisela. That's on Thursday, March the 12th. You can also listen to all of our episodes on demand on the Cambridge.radio website. You can also catch up on podcasting platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple and YouTube. We'll see you soon.
Goodbye.